All right, moving on. And finally tonight, the 2015 Mackinac Policy Conference is history, but the conversations that took place on the island are continuing, and one of the biggest topics of discussion was Detroit's future. I talked with the heads of the Detroit Regional Chamber and the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation about how the city is being perceived.
So there's a lot of capital circling the city right now, and it is beginning to land, and you're starting to see investments from outside of Michigan coming into Detroit, and that's huge because the accelerating of Detroit's economy over the last 5 to 6 years has been what I call friends and family money. It's been Detroit money, it's been Michigan money, people who know us well, who see the opportunity, are ready to invest. We're really not going to get to that next level of economic growth, that next rung on the economic ladder in the city of Detroit until we have outside investment, Chicago money, Shanghai money, coming into the city in a significant way. We're starting to see that money land now.
All right, so you're starting to see some of that money. Or talk to some of those people, Roger?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is probably more excitement than there's been in the last few decades around the investment opportunity in Detroit. The transition that we're making as an economy is that investment is not just money that comes in and sits, but it's investment that comes in and it's active and it's tied to kind of our economic development strategy. So the conversation now is not about just coming to Detroit and investing in Detroit, but how do we actually leverage that investment, point that investment in a way that gives us real catalytic projects and real catalytic opportunities in the city.
Sandy, what are the questions that people ask you about Detroit? What are the questions now, and how do they compare to those questions that you got maybe even just 2 years ago?
So 2 years ago was, are you really going to solve your problems? Bankruptcy, emergency management, and coming out of that, those questions have now pretty much answered. Okay, you are serious about solving your problem. So that's one check mark. The check mark that we're trying to check off now is how sustainable is the recovery? How well are we going to manage going forward? So we've done this incredible heavy lifting. The corporate community, the philanthropic community, the political community, everyone's been aligned in the interest of Detroit. Now they want to know, can we manage going forward? Can we manage the city budget going forward? Can we attract businesses and keep businesses? Can we fix our educational system? If we can answer those questions in relatively short order, then I think the investment will come because we're primed for that kind of growth.
All right, so Roderick, then what are some of the things that might be holding back a company from taking that last initial jump in?
Well, you know, to follow on to Sandy's point about the things that will sustain it, it's really about the question of, okay, good governance. One is companies and people want to go somewhere where they have confidence in government, that government's going to provide the services and support that they say they can provide. And so there's a rising level of confidence there. Population stabilization is also going to be vitally important to the long-term fiscal stability of the city. So even coming out of the bankruptcy, we've got to start to grow population, or at a minimum, stabilize population and get incomes up in the city. Some of the things that we have to continue to confront, of course, are the education system. That's vitally important. Reinvesting in infrastructure is vitally important. Ensuring that dealing with issues of crime, those things are really, really important. But I will tell you that as we get more population in the city, as city government continues to make smart investments around lights and streets and those kinds of things, I'm not so worried about those things because we're on the right path.
All right, so would you agree that Detroit is on track for an increase in population and investment? What was your vibe that you got coming out of the conference?
I think
Detroit.
An increase of population in certain places. I think overall they still got a lot of work to do to reverse the slide in the neighborhoods. You're asking a lot of people to stay and say, you know, I'll wait 5 years. I mean, a lot of folks just can't do it. They've got to get out, particularly with the school situation. There is a certain urgency that has to happen in the neighborhoods. I think downtown will continue to add population in Midtown, and you're going to see some of the near neighborhoods fill in, some of the better neighborhoods in Detroit fill in. So I think the population gains will be sporadic. Overall, I don't see population increasing for a while.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think we'll increase the population. Most cities that have had these kinds of revitalizations or gentrifications or whatever you want to call it have not been able to turn around the population slide so much as they are able to attract new people who have higher incomes and pay more taxes. And so you're able to balance the books in some of these places a little better with fewer people and not rely on population. I think the question in Detroit still is, how do we attract more people than we are, and how do we make that as diverse and inclusive as possible? But the idea of increasing the overall population, I think, is still something of a pipe dream, although the mayor says at the end of his first term, that's how he wants to be judged, whether the population going up or down. I think that's a very dangerous thing to hinge it on,
Yeah.
but he's sticking by it.